Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm smiling to myself because I have literally, this is so ridiculous. I have literally just gone and stretched my hamstrings in preparation for attempting this puzzle on the screen. And you may say, what are you talking about? Don't you have to limber up your brain or something? Well, I'm hoping my brain is limbered up. But I do find that when I sit in front of a puzzle for sort of 2 or 3 hours, I do get cramped up. And this puzzle on the screen is called Crystalline Entity. It's by IcyFruit. And the last 2 or 3 puzzles I've done by IcyFruit have caused enormously long videos. Wasn't one over 4 hours. It was longer than the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. And if I have to sit here for 4 hours and do this one, which is perfectly possible, it's another 5-star rated puzzle, then I wanted to sort of feel like I wasn't going to be cramped in the meantime. So anyway, I've done my stretching. I'm going to attempt this for you. Lots of you have asked if I can have a go at this. I think it's caused a fair amount of consternation in the community because it's very difficult. IcyFruit is an incredible brain. The rules of this one are, as usual, very short and sweet. So there's nothing, it's not an overly complex rule set that leads to the difficulty. It's just the deep brilliance of IcyFruit's creative imagination and ability to then implement that imagination in a Sudoku grid that means we're probably going to have to battle. So this is what I'm going to attempt for you. You will know, assuming this even becomes a video, you'll be able to look at the length of the video and see just how much I've struggled and whether or not I was right to do my stretching beforehand. Yeah, but I'll read you the rules in a moment or two's time. Now, I've got a few things to mention, actually, before we kick off into today's video. So I will mention the following things. There was a bonus video today on the channel. We released it at 10 a.m. UK time, and I think it's a little bit interesting. So yesterday I did a wonderful puzzle on the channel called The Composite Thread by Palpot. And spoiler alert, I'm going to mention just a little bit of what was involved in solving that puzzle. That puzzle involved some ideas around region sum lines and particular types of numbers. I'll try and be as elliptical as possible just in case any of you are still watching and want to solve the puzzle and don't want to be spoiled. Anyway, it struck me as we're sort of interested in AI and improving AI's ability to actually reason. AI is very bad at reasoning, but very good at sort of writing sentences. So I thought I would test yesterday's puzzle on a couple of the big AIs and see how they got on. And the videos, it's only 20 minutes long, but it's about that, how Grok 3 and Gemini 2.5 Pro did in their assessment of Palpot's puzzle. So if any of you are interested in AI, do check that out. I have been interested in AI really ever since I followed Demis Hassabis's career with interest, because I first knew Demis when he walked into the JCR at my college at Queen's College, Cambridge. And one was immediately struck by the fact that he was about 14 years old, and we were all a little bit older. So anyway, Demis is now the head of Google DeepMind, and obviously won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry last year for the work on protein folding, which they think will lead to the ability to cure all sorts of diseases. So an incredible thing. Being achieved as we speak, or that's already been achieved. So anyway, that's the context for that video earlier. Do check it out. I will try and remember to put a link on the screen. On Thursday morning, on Thursday evening, on Thursday evening at 10 p.m. UK time, we are going to be revisiting the mansion that is the game Blueprints. So we'd love to have your company for that. It will be our 4th attempt at the puzzle or the game. So I'll try and remember to put a link on on the screen to that. We are closing in on the 1st of June, which is the date we will have a new competition running over on Patreon. This is a collection of puzzles, a Sudoku hunt by Itrio, complete with story and wonderful, wonderful Sudokus. So look forward to that. It's Itrio's first Sudoku hunt, and it's absolutely quality, let me tell you. And then I've got 2 birthdays to do as well, so let's do those. Adam, your wife Kate wrote to us and said that you enjoy the channel and you watch while drinking chamomile tea before bedtime. Isn't that reminds me of Peter Rabbit? Didn't Peter Rabbit have chamomile tea at bedtime? Or have I got that totally wrong? Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail. I'm probably talking gibberish. I apologise if so. Anyway, Adam, I hope you have a brilliant birthday today. I hope I haven't made you just splutter over your chamomile tea. And I hope you also, of course, had some chocolate cake that was heavily iced. And then I think we're going down to Australia for Maggie's 80th birthday. Maggie, many congratulations. Your son, Bremster, who will be known to much of the Sudoku community, wrote in and said that you might like a shout out. I think we've featured, I want to say, at least 3 of the puzzles they've done together. We featured Bremster on his own, but Bremster and Maggie also combine wits, and we've done, I think, at least 3 of their puzzles. And Maggie, many happy returns on reaching such an illustrious age. I hope you have a great birthday. I hope the weather down there in Australia, if you are indeed down in Australia, is better than we have today in the UK. I'm sure it will be. It's absolutely filthy. And I hope, of course, you get chocolate cake. Now, I can put it off no longer. Let's have a look at Crystalline Entity by IcyFruit. And I will read you the rules of the puzzle, which won't take long. We've got normal Sudoku rules applying. So I've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. A digit in a circle indicates the number of times that digit appears in either a circle or a square. So it's a slight rinky-dink on the normal circle rule. So normally in circles puzzles, the digit in the circle indicates how many times that digit appears in circles. So if, for example, you put 8 in a circle, you know that the digit 8 appears in 8 circles. But here, it's slightly different. And it's asymmetrical because the digit in the circle indicates how many times. So if we put 8, say we put an 8 there. If that's an 8, that would be saying the digit 8 appears 8 times in circles and squares, or circles or squares. So you could have like 6 8s in circles and 2 8s in squares, for example. You just have to make sure there are 8 instances of 8 in shapes altogether. And there's only one other rule. It says digits along an arrow sum to the digit in the attached circle. So if this is 5 and that is a 3, 3 plus 5 equals 8, and we would write 8 into the circle. So arrows are normal and I guess fairly straightforward. And there are all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. Now, the first thing that I have learnt to do in circles puzzles, at least, is to count the circles. So let's highlight all the circles, which this wonderful software allows us to do just by double clicking them, and then count them. So 6, 10, 15, 21, 25, 31. Now I'm actually going to check that, because if I get this wrong, there's all sorts of dramatic problems that could arise from that. So 5, 11, 16, 21, 26, 31. Okay, so I've done it by rows, I've done it by columns. I got 31 twice. So there are 31 circles, which is a very strange number of circles. So 31 is a number that bears no relation to anything interesting, so far as I'm concerned. Now, how many squares have we got? We have got 5, 6, 7, another 5, 12, 16. Let's do it by column as well. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've got 16 squares. That's makes me think I've broken the puzzle already. So I've got 31 circles and 16 squares. Sorry, and the reason that slightly surprised me is that adds up to more than 45, and 45 is a propitious number in Sudoku circles, and indeed Sudoku squares, because it's a secret number. It's something I share with only my very favourite people, and if you're indulging me by listening to this video, you're definitely one of my favourite people. The secret of Sudoku is 45, because that is the sum of the digits 1 to 9. And if we just think about it for a moment, and I haven't done this thinking, but this is why I think there's a problem. If I put, let's say I put a 9 here, and then I put an 8 here, and I keep doing that in circles, then how many circles and squares? Yes, so I'm sort of saying, what's the maximum we can put in the circles and squares that way? And because we put a 9 in a circle, there should be 9 9s in circles and squares. Because I put an 8 in a circle, there should be 8 8s in circles and squares. And you can see we continue that logic, and what we're going to get is that circles and squares should add up to 45, and they add up to 47. So I get, okay, so I guess what we get from that, if I haven't broken the puzzle, what we get from that is that there definitely isn't one of every digit in circles. But the thing I'm surprised about is that if you don't put digits in circles, and indeed the math seems to suggest we can't, how do you have more? How do you have more circles and squares than you're meant to have? Oh no, okay, I do get it actually. I do get it. Yeah, so if you miss, let's imagine that the circles, that every digit appeared in a circle except a 1. What would that mean? What that would mean is that there would be 44, or 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 and 2 would be in circles. Those add up to 44. So 44 circles and squares would be consumed by the digits 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And there would be, but there are 47 circles and squares, so 3 squares could have 1s in them. Yeah, and by putting a 1 in a square, providing 1 is not in a circle, it's fine. It doesn't break the rules. That is weird. Okay. So the question is going to be, how many numbers maybe it's better to start with 9. If 9 was not circled, and 9, see often 9 is a good one to start with, because 9, there are only 9 9s in the puzzle. It's a Sudoku puzzle, so every column does contain a 9. So for example, if 9 is circled, not necessarily squared, if 9 is circled, then there has to be, for example, I can see there must be a 9 here, because the 9 in this column would need to be in a circle or a square. I don't think there's any 3x3 box, any row or column that has nothing in it, so we can't rule out 9. So let's think it through. So if 9 is not in a circle, then the digits in circles add up to at least 36, i.e. 45 minus 9. And how many? Okay, but there were only 31 circles, so 5 of those digits then spill out into squares. And there are 16 squares, so there would be 11. Well, that doesn't work. You can't just miss out a 9, because that would imply I've got to put, I'd have to put 11 9s into squares, because I'd have 11 empty squares. I could put 9 9s into them, but the other 2 would then take the other digits and make the count incorrect for the total number of digits in circles and squares. That is really weird. So maybe no, I'm wrong. I was going to say maybe. Oh, that's weird. That's so annoying as well. Right, what I was going to say is that's brilliant, because that means that 9 is definitely circled in the puzzle, and I was about to write a 9 in there. However, I then thought I'd better just check, and my brain checked and it said, no, Simon, you're wrong. Because what would happen if you missed out a 9 and a 1 from circles? And the weird thing about that is I think that's then fine, because then the digits in circles will add up to 35, which means that there are now 12 squares that are unfilled, because 31 circles can be filled with the digits 2 through to 8. So there's still four digits that have to spill over, and they spill into squares, and that leaves 12 squares empty. But you could put some number of, but because there are 18 instances of 1 and 9 in the puzzle, you only have to put 12 of those instances into squares and you fulfill the criteria. So this is going to get difficult then, because what that has prevented me from doing what I thought would be the easiest thing to do, which would be to show that, okay, because if just one number was missing from the circles, especially if that number was 9, at least we could have started the puzzle. But actually now we're in a worse case than we were. So maybe I've got to do something with, I mean, it can't be the arrows. It can't be the arrows. These arrows are too short, and even if I combine the logic on them and say, okay, the minimum sum of those 4 cells is 10, if I filled them with 1, 2, 3 and 4, all I'm saying is those 2 digits add up to at least 10. Well, that's not a very interesting conclusion. So is it something to do with the geometry of the puzzle then? Let's highlight all of the circles. Yeah, I mean, that is a bit suspicious, isn't it? There's a sort of lattice that's forming, in the sense that there's no There's no circles in those 3 columns, and there's no circles in those 3 rows. I'm sure that's meant to make me think, oh, well, that means something, but it doesn't really make me think. I don't know what it's meant to make me think, but I do see it. Now, what about the squares, though? So the square, I mean, that's horrible. The squares are in every single column. They're not in as many rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're in 6 rows. So they're not in rows 1, 6, and 9. So what does that mean then? I'm more inclined to think about the circles. The circles, I think it's interesting that there's this lattice here that hasn't got, wow, and I've just mishighlighted it, those cells. It's a horrible blend of colours, but maybe that, I don't know, maybe that. Or maybe it's just unnecessary, but there's a lattice there. Right. I've got something then. Okay, let me just think about that a little bit more. Oh, hang on. Oh no, oh, hang on. Okay, no, I'm not sure. Well, I've got something. I've got something in the columns. I was just trying to look at the rows as well, just to see if I could see a similar pattern, but I can't really. Okay, so I'll show you what I've got. I've got one thing which I think is interesting. Those 3 cells. Right, so here is the thought process I went to. We know that the circles do not contain all of the digits from 1 to 9, because if they did, there should be 45 digits in circles and squares, and we know that there are 47 digits in circles and squares. So there are digits missing. Now, I might be able to prove there is 1 digit missing, which would be interesting in line with what the thinking we've done so far. And the way I'm looking at that is I'm looking at these positions in the lattice. So what I'm saying is, if there is a digit in this puzzle that never appears in a circle, and we know that there's at least 1 such digit, then in row 1, 6 and 9 it's in those cells, isn't it? I think that's right. Now that is a swordfish of yellow. A fairly unpleasant swordfish of yellow. What do I mean by swordfish? Well, a swordfish is a pattern in Sudoku where a digit is locked into exactly the same, in this instance, columns in 3 different rows. And the critical thing to understand about a swordfish is the effect it has on those columns. What do I mean? Well, the way to think about it is to agree some things between ourselves. So I want to say how many of this digit that we're focusing on, the digit that is definitely not in the circles in the puzzle, how many times is that digit in row 1? Now, whatever that digit is, we can agree by the rules of Sudoku, it's only going to appear once in row 1, isn't it? And we've said it's in these cells. So it's in one of those cells and it appears once in row 1. How many times does it appear in row 6? Once. How many times does it appear in row 9? once. So that means that the yellow cells overall contain 3 instances of this digit. Now let's go to the columns. I want to look at that column, and that column, and ask the same question. How many times does this digit, whatever digit it is, how many times does it appear in the green cells? And hopefully you're going to say once in column 2, once in column 5, once in column 8. So it appears 3 times altogether in those columns, but we just said it's in the yellow cells 3 times. So how many times does it appear in the gaps, the cells that are those blue cells? 0. Because it can't be in the blue cells as well. If it was in the blue cells as well, it would appear more than 3 times in 3 different columns, and that would break the rules of Sudoku. Now, why is that interesting? Well, I want to look at this row. Because what we've just said is that there is a digit or digits in this puzzle that exist only within the yellow cells of these rows, because it's a digit that's never in the circles or the squares. Well, where does it appear in this row? We've just said it can't be in these 3 positions because of the swordfish. And it can't be in a circle. So it is in a square, and it's there. So this digit that we're saying must exist exists here. So now the question I'm going to ask is, that's fine. Let's imagine there are 2 such digits. Where? So we use green to indicate the second such digit. We've identified that the first such digit, yellow, must go there in row 4. Let's talk about the digit green. Let's say there's a second such digit that never appears in a circle in this puzzle. Well, where's that in row 4? It can't exist. The swordfish removes it from these cells, and it can't be in a circle, and it can't be the same as yellow. So there is 1 such digit in the puzzle. There is only 1 digit that is not in the circles in the puzzle. And I know that's not the digit 9. Because if it was the digit 9, we run into the other problem, don't we? If it was the digit 9, we didn't have enough 9s to fill the squares. Oh yeah, this is going to be really powerful. This is classic IcyFruit. It's just beautiful logic. Okay, no. Hang on. So I now know 9 is circled in the puzzle. Let's just double check that. If 9 was not circled, if 9 was in the yellow cell, then the digits in the circles, all other 8 digits would be in the circles. The circles would add to 36. 31, the 31 circles would contain the digits 1 to 8. And then 5 squares would have to contain the digits 1 to 8. And the other 11 squares, because there are 16 squares in all, would all have to be filled with the digit 9. And there aren't 11 9s in the puzzle. So it is correct. So that means that is a 9. It definitely is. Because the 9 in this column, we know 9 is circled from that logic. So I know all the 9s in the puzzle are in shapes. And in this column there is only 1 opportunity to do that. And in look. And in this column there is only 1 opportunity to put a digit in a circle or a square, and it's there now because this 9 has ruled out that one. And in this column there is only 1 opportunity to put. Oh, this is beautiful. Now let's keep going. Now 9 in. Okay, hang on. So hang on, sorry, I can't see what to do now. I'm sure we're going to be able to do something else. I don't know what though. All actually, okay, oh right, okay, so what I hadn't really thought about, but I'm now starting to realise, is that the lattice that we drew, you know, which was the lattice where no circles were appearing, that is by far the least cluttered part of the puzzle, isn't it? I mean, it does have some squares in it, especially in the rows. But actually all of the other columns, other than these 3 columns, are heavily densely packed with circles and squares. So maybe it's not surprising I can't do more with 9s. Okay, so let's do 8 then, because I don't think 8's going to work either. If 8 was the yellow digit, then there are 37's worth of digits in the circles. But there are only 31 circles, so 6 of the 16 squares are consumed with those digits, and there would need to be 10 8's in the puzzle. They're definite. It's actually a lot worse. I think this is going to be a really low digit, because it's not like when we get to, let's say, 9 6's. I'm not sure if 6 is the break-even point, but let's say it was, and I had to put 9 6's into squares. I can't do that. Not from a column perspective, although actually I can't now, but I can't do it from a row perspective. The squares are only in 6 rows, so I could only put 6 of the 6's, or whatever the digit is, into the squares as a maximum. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and in fact, no, hang on, and that would be the digit. That's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So, but anyway, 8 clearly doesn't work. So this is an 8, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong? I think that's right, because we've worked out 8 as a circled digit. The 8 in this column is clearly not circled or squared, so all other 8's in the puzzle must be in a shape, and in this column there's only one opportunity afforded for that to be the case. And now in this column there's only one opportunity for that to be the case. So when we do this logic, we have to be focusing on the lattice, is what we're going to have to do. It's the lattice where there's the most constraint. Now, that's a really annoying. That square is really annoying. Okay, let's try 7. I don't think 7's going to work. If 7 is the digit that's missing from the circles, 38 circles and squares are filled with digits. 31 circles means 7 squares are consumed, which means 9 squares are free and have to have the digit 7 in them, and they can't, because we can't put 9 7's into squares because they're only in 6 rows. So 7 also is not the yellow digit, and 7 goes here therefore, because there's no circled or square 7 in this column, there's no circled or square 7 in this column, and in this column there must be a circled or squared 7, and it's going to go here. Now see if that wasn't an 8. Actually, it's not even very helpful. It's not even very helpful if it wasn't an 8. If it was an 8, I was trying to do something that says 8. I can't see how to do it. Okay, well, let's work out. I think 6 is not going to work, is it? Because then I've got 39 circles and squares, because the digits in circles will add to 39. 31 of those 39 are consumed with circles, so 8 squares are consumed with the digits 1 to 5 and 7 to 9. So 8 squares have a 6 in. That's not possible. There are only 6 rows of squares. So I'm going to just label this. This cell is down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 I don't think is going to work either, but let's just double check that. 5 is 49, so 7, yeah, that requires 7 5s in squares. That's wrong. So 4 is the first opportunity we're going to get for this to work. And what 4 will require is 6 4s in squares. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work, because if this is a 4, how can you put... You need to put 6 4s into squares by the maths of it. And look, in this row there's no possibility. So there's only 5 rows that have squares available. So 4 doesn't work. Down to 1, 2 or 3. Now if it's 3, I think we're going to need 5. 5 thingies of thingy. 5 thingies of thingy. That's a technical term, don't you know? Let's just double check the math. So if 3 is the digit missing, 42 is the total number of circles and squares consumed with the digits 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 31 of those are in the circles. So 11, yeah, 11 spill over into the squares, leaving 5 squares left over that all have to have a 3 in. So this would be a 3. This couldn't be a 3. So there would have to be a 3 in one of those two. One of these two. That one. I can get... This doesn't work. This is, I mean, this is just mad. It's absolutely mad. Right, so what I'm saying is, if that's 3, I've got to put a 3 in this row, this row, this row, and this row in the squares. So how will we do that? Well, this one has to be a 3, doesn't it? Now, where's the 3 in this row now? It has to be here. In this row? Oh no, it does work. I'm wrong. Oh, bother. I thought I could see it not working. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it doesn't work. Sorry, I was thinking I could put 3 here, but I can't because of this 3. No, we're fine. We're fine. It doesn't work. Yeah, because where's the 3 we're going to put in row 2? Neither of those can be a 3, and that can't be a 3. So it doesn't work. And that means we're right down. We're down to 2 or 1 as the digit here. Now if it's 2, then we only need to put with this, if this is 2, this can't be a 2. We need to put a... How many 2s do we need then? It's going to be 4, isn't it? Including this, so 3 more 2s. 1, 2, 3. So amongst those cells there, we would have to put in 3 2s into those 4 rows. Okay, I can't... So I wouldn't actually need that to be a 2. I mean, if that was a 2, it's putting no pressure on anything. So that's very bad. And if that's a 1, presumably it's even easier, because then I only need to put... I only need to have... In the purples, I only have to have 2 1s. Not the purples, I mean this colour, whatever that is, indigos. 2 1s in there. Maybe we can get rid of 1. If that's 1, then these arrows get big, don't they? Because now I can't put a 1 on any of those squares, so they're going to add up to 14 at least. So these circles are going to add up to 14. That can't be 9. So if that was... it's not that good. If that's 8, which it could be, I think, this could be... It only has to be as big as 6. And that cell's not actually under any pressure at all. Ah, bother. Okay. Oh, that's really weird. I bet there's a way of... I bet there's something obvious about why this is 1 or 2. I suspect it's going to be a 1. Because I suspect that when that's a 2, there's a way of seeing why you can't put 3 2s or 3 more 2s into indigo. It's or actually, maybe it's a different approach it from the other way. If that's a 2, rather than worrying about getting 2s into indigo, hang on, I need to think about this. Let me just mull this over for a moment. What I'll tell you what I'm mulling over. What I'm thinking is, if I say 2 is the yellow digit, then 1 is a circle digit. But actually that's not that easy to do. Because if 1's circled, it can only be circled once in the puzzle. So isn't it getting pushed into the swordfish is what I'm wondering about. I might be wrong about that as well. No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Right. Okay, so the way to get rid of 2 from here is not to think about 2 at all. It's to think about 1 and the implications for 1. If 2 was here, 1 is circled. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, how can we only circle or square a 1 once? Because we know 1 is circled once, because there can only be 1 such digit. So it's in a circle once, and then it's never in another circle or a square. So look at row 1. This row, and this row. And you might say, Simon, well, you're wrong. It's fine. We could put 1 into the swordfish, and we could. And then we could put 1 into, say, one of those cells. And you're quite right, you could. You absolutely could. But then you're going to have to tell me where we're going to put the 1 in row 7. Because the swordfish is going to take it out of the lattice, and the only cells left are squares and circles. So there's no way you can do that. There's no way you can do it. So just to recapitulate that logic, what I'm saying is, it's really difficult to show this, I think. Maybe we get rid of green. Because the original swordfish was the digit that is not in the digit that was not in the circles anywhere, and we've established that is the yellow digit, and it is the yellow digit. It's not a yellow digit. There is only 1 such digit. Now, so what hopefully you can see is that there's a sort of floating swordfish between these rows, in the sense that if you do decide not to put the 1 into a yellow cell in rows 1, 6 or 9, you are consuming the circle, that's for sure, But then in this row, in row 4, because you can't put it in a circle anymore, you're going to re-establish the swordfish. I mean, I hope it's clear. I find it clear to see, but maybe it's not clear. So let's imagine that I suppose there are binary possibilities. If 1 was in the original yellow swordfish, then in row 4 we can definitely agree that 1 would be in a circle, can't we? And if that's the case, because we started that with saying 1's in the original swordfish, we couldn't put a 1 in row 7, so it's broken. If 1 is not in the original swordfish, let's imagine, for example, in row 1 we put a 1 there. Now let's see how that plays out. What we can say now is that in this row, those become yellow, effectively, because we can't put the 1 in another circle. That re-establishes the swordfish just in 3 different rows and gives us the same problem with row 7. I.e. we can't put, because of the swordfish, we can't put the 1's in there, and the 1 is going to go into a shape, which it's not allowed to do. So, hopefully that is good enough. And what we can say, therefore, is that this is not a 2. Now, I'm slightly worried about this, I will admit this, because when I was looking at these rows, it doesn't feel desperately easy for it to work with 2's either. So we're now going to have to think that through. Because now, by saying that 1 is the swordfish digit, i.e. 1 is the digit that is never in circles in this puzzle, and it's the only such digit, we now know that 2 is circled, which means when we reconsider this logic, we've got that row, that row, that row, that row. I know it's okay. It's okay, isn't it? Because it gives us more license. I.e., in those 5 rows now, we are always going to have a swordfish. There's a floating swordfish in columns 2, 5 and 8. Because wherever we decide to put the 2's, we can only hide in each row, or in only 2 of these rows can we hide the 2 in a circle or a square. In the other 3 rows, therefore, the 2's are going to be confined to columns 2, 5 and 8. Now, that's very beautiful though, because that's going to allow us to look at row 3. This is correct. I mean, this is nonsense what I'm doing here. This is nonsense. Nonsense in the best way, because look at row 3. We know that the rows I've highlighted, these rows here, are indisputably the rows in which the 2's appear in the circles. Otherwise, the swordfish columns would contain more than 3 2's. So we know that these are the rows where the 2's are circled. So in row 3, we cannot circle or square a 2, and the swordfish is going to be completed, so we can't have it in column 2, 5 or 8, so that's a 2. Now, what do we do with that? What we do with that is we iterate that logic again, of course. Why wouldn't we? So now we're going to highlight these rows again. And we're going to ask exactly the same question, but this time about row 2. In row 2, we cannot put the 2 in a square, because it would be the 3rd such instance. We cannot put it in the swordfish columns, and we cannot put it in those squares, because there's a 2 here already. So that's a 2. And that means one of those 3 is a 2 by Sudoku. Now, can we do the same in this row? Actually, no, we really can't. This row's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Because it's got so few squares and circles in it. So yes, I mean, it's true to say that isn't a 2. It's true to say that isn't a 2. Because of the floating swordfish. And it's true to say that isn't a 2. Because that would break the world. And it's true to say that isn't a 2. Because 2 is not equal to 9. Knowledge bomb. And it's true to say that isn't a 2 by Sudoku, and that isn't a 2 by Sudoku. So 2 is limited. It's in three different positions, one of 3 different positions. But I don't think that's going to be good enough. Can I do more with 1? Yeah, okay. I should have done more with 1 straight away, shouldn't I? 1 is the yellow digit. Now the yellow digit we have defined as being the digit that is never in a circle. Actually, I might be wrong about this. I thought I could get 1. I'm just rethinking my thought on 1 that I was just having. No, this is awkward actually. 1 is a tricky little character, isn't it? Because 1 absolutely can go in as many squares. Well, actually, can we work out? We know how many squares 1 has to go into. Yeah, okay, let's actually double check that we understand that, because 1 is the digit that is not in circles. The digits in circles will sum to 44 using the secret. 31 of those digits, therefore 2 through 9, are going to appear in the circles of the puzzle. But there are 44 digits we need to place in circles and squares. So 13 squares are going to be consumed with the digits 2 to 9 inclusive, which means exactly 3 squares have 1s in them. Now, that is definitely... okay. So hang on, I've got something different. Because I tell you what I was doing and why it didn't work. I was looking at row 2, and I was thinking, oh, where am I going to place the 1 in that row? And I thought, erroneously, I'm going to put it there, because I can't put it in a square, which is wrong, because I've got 1 at the moment in a square, and I can have 3 1s in squares altogether, so I could absolutely make one of those a 1. This could never be a 1 because of the swordfish. The swordfish exists in the sense that 1 is definitely in one of those 3 in row 1, one of these 3 in row 6, etc. We already understand that. But how about changing that? And rather than looking at row 2, I'm going to look at row 3. Because that's actually easier. Where's the 1 in row 3? It can't be in the swordfish columns, and it can't be in a circle. So I think it's there. And that's our second 1 in squares. We've now got 2 1s in squares. Now, what can we do with that? So that means the original swordfish, this is not yellow effectively, because it can't be a 1. So one of those 2 has to be a 1. And I've got to put right. Okay, so let's look at row 7. Now in row 7, we know that because of the swordfish, 1 is not in those 3 cells. And we know it's never in a circle. So in row 7, 1 is in a square, one of those 2 squares. But that's important, isn't it? Because if 1 is in one of those 2 squares, that is the 3rd one that is in a square. I've got 2 at the moment, I'm allowed 3. Or I must have 3. And I can't have 4, or the count will be wrong, because I won't ever be able to get enough circles and squares to contain the digits 2 to 9. So now, in row 2, I do know where the 1 goes. Because the 1 in row 2 doesn't go in a square, because the 3rd instance of 1 in a square is in row 7. So in this row, it's not in those 3, it's not there because it can't be in a square, it's there. That is a 1. And that's right, so that's going to start unwinding our swordfish, because we know 1 is never in a circle. And in this box, we know this is not a squared 1, don't we? And 1 is not in a circle, so that's a 1. That's a 1. 1 is never in a circle. Oh, come on. It doesn't have to go much further than this, does it? 1 is in one of those. 1. Oh, no, look at that. 1's there. 1. Ew, careful. Oh, I was about to write 1 in there, and I was going careful. But actually, because I realised it could go in the square, but actually it does go in the square because of this one. It can't be in it. So by Sudoku, it's forced into the square. That is the last one. We've got 3 1s now in squares, and all the 1s belong to us. We have done all the 1s in the puzzle. So now, so do we go back to 2s then? Where were we up to with 2s? 2s were circled, weren't they? Which gave us latitude in the funny rows. Oh yeah, but where's 2? Wasn't that one of the positions 2 could be in row 8, or have I invented that? I can't remember now. So 2, yeah, we know that 2's occurrences in circles and squares were entirely within these rows, weren't they? And there was a floating swordfish. 2, 3, yeah. So 2 can't be in this square, and it can't be in the swordfish, and it can't be in the swordfish. So if I take out the positions that 2 can be in, 2 can't be in this one because of Sudoku, can't be in that one because of the float. Well, because we've already got the 2s in these rows already. Can't be in there because of the swordfish. Can't be in there by Sudoku. So 2 is in one of 2 places in row 8. And oh no, come on. If it's there, does that mean that means those 2 digits have the same parity? Oh yeah, okay, these do add up to a lot now. Because we've proved this is a 1. So these do add up to at least 14. So each of these circles is at least a 5, isn't it? In order to... Because if this was a 4, this would have to be a 10, and that's not going to work. That can't be 9. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm not seeing anything clever there. And okay, let's check with 3s. Can we do the same logic that we did with 2s with 3s or not? I don't think it's going to work, but I am going to check it. So we know that the constraints are in these rows, and there are a lot of them now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6. The problem is I'm not even clever enough to know what I think. So, okay, let me think about this. So what I'm saying is, I know 3 is circled somewhere in the puzzle. And I know that if we look at these 6 rows that I've just highlighted, there are 3 3s in circles and squares in these rows. Because otherwise the swordfish would be overpopulated. The yellow swordfish would have, well, yeah, the yellow swordfish would all contain 3s, and then there'd have to be another 3 in those columns. So there is a floating swordfish on 3s, is one consequence of that. Oh, I'm just not clever enough to do this. I don't understand. Do I... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that lots of you will be shouting at me for this. And I think I probably deserve it as well, because I can't. I'm struggling to understand the implication of the logic. I might just have to look. Can I just stare at this pattern just for a minute? Let me just think about this. Because doesn't this mean that in row 2 I've got an issue? Not a good issue. I think that's right, isn't it? Okay, so let me recapitulate, and I'm sorry if this is obvious to everybody. It very much isn't to me, but I think it's true. What I'm claiming is that in these rows here, those 6 rows, the 3s, those are the rows in which the 3 3s that are circled or squared must appear, because I'm saying that if they didn't, they would overpopulate the yellow cells. Because I can put 3 3s into the yellow columns, if you like, but only 3, because if I put 4 3s into the yellow columns, they will clash. So in 3 of these rows, I will have to push the 3s out of the yellow columns into the shapes, and those shapes therefore contain the 3 3s. So no other shapes in this puzzle outside of these rows contain the digit 3. And in row 2, where am I putting the 3 then? I can't put it in here because of the swordfish that must exist. I've no idea where the swordfish lives, but it lives somewhere within those 6 rows we just highlighted. And I can't put it in a square because all of the shape 3s are in the 6 rows we just highlighted. So that's a 3. That feels correct, doesn't it? Now, problem is I got some 2s, and I've got a 3. I'm going to go back and stare at this again. I feel like I'm sort of, I'm benefiting from the law of diminishing returns here. And in that I'm getting, a couple of digits, or in 3's case, 1 digit. Does row 2, column 8 have to be a 4 for some similar reason? And I just don't think it does. Okay, 3 in row 5 can't be in a square. And it's not in its own column. So 3 in row 5, that digit is in one of those 2 cells. That is true. Is that? I mean, I don't even dare make that pencil mark because it's cross box, but I'm just going to try and remember that. But in those 6 rows, I don't think you have a floating swordfish on 4s. Because you can put the 4s into 4 circles, or a square or 2. And only 2 of the swordfish columns would be consumed with 4s then. So I don't know. I bet that does turn out to be a 4, but I'm not sure. Okay, I've had an hour and 6 minutes. It's flown past. I've flown past. And I've got some digits. Now, there have been IcyFruit puzzles before where I've taken a very, very long time to even get 1 digit. So I think I'm okay with this. I don't yet feel like I'm not going to solve it. I feel I'm in with a chance of solving it. Now, okay, Sudoku. 9s are in one of those 3 positions. 9s. Is this? I think I've got a bad feeling I'm going to... Oh, that can't be a 9 because of this short little arrow. If that was a 9, obviously 9 would be there and it wouldn't be in a shape, which can't be true in this puzzle. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not going around the grid pencil marking 9s into circles and squares, because I know 9s are in circles and squares. Sorry, I know I've stopped talking. I'm very sorry. I don't mean to stop talking. I'm trying to see anything that I think is under pressure. And I'm doing an abysmal job of that. 8s, what do we know about 8s? We know the 8 in this column is unshaped. So every other 8 in the puzzle is shaped. Or in every other column there is a shaped 8. That's what allowed us to do these. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. Okay, let's go back over. What do we know? We know we've done the 1s. We can't do any more with 1s. We know a little bit about 9s, but I don't think it's a useful thing that we know. We know a little bit about 8s. Again, I just don't see how it's... It feels like I must be able to do more with 2s, frankly. But I don't know how to think about that. It's not... Actually, let me just think about this. I'm now trying to do what I was doing in the rows in the columns, and I'm trying to think about that. Because all of these restrictions that we've learnt about, they all apply in this as regards this sort of lattice shape that exists in the grid. This shape. Now, or maybe, actually, hang on, that's a different thought I've just had. And any different thoughts are welcome. Actually, no. What are you talking about, you silly man? So in the columns, okay, well, let's just highlight the restricted columns, which is exactly the same as the rows. It's those, isn't it? Now, what exactly are we saying here about these columns? What I'm trying to get into my head is, how does it relate to what we said in the rows? Or does it not relate at all? Have we got... See, it almost makes me want to... What? Yeah, that's weird. So in column 9, there is one digit that is not in a shape. Oh, that's okay though, isn't it? Providing it's not 9, that's okay. Sorry. Oh, this is I'm so bad at this puzzle. It's almost more interesting, frankly. Yeah, actually, hang on. Is that what I meant to do? Let me just think about that. Oh, I see you. I see you, IcyFruit. I know what you're doing. Okay, let's change... There must be some way to see this from what I did before, I think. I don't know. I'm just going to show you what I've noticed, which is that I'm not so much focusing on the circles and the squares. I'm focusing on the gaps. I'm just going to highlight some cells just for a moment. I'm going to highlight those cells. Now, there's a lot of green cells there, but those green cells are in exactly 2 rows of the grid. So if I want to put a digit, let's imagine it's the same digit. If I want to put a digit into green, I can put 2 such digits into the total panoply of green digits, can't I? Now, okay, so I might actually be proving nothing here. So yeah, okay. So in these 6 in these 6 columns, how many 2s are there? The answer to that is 6. There are 6 columns in those 6 2s, sorry, in those 6 columns. That is how Sudoku works. There's one of them. There's another one. So there are still 4 2s to place in the remaining columns. And what I'm saying is that I can't possibly, in the remaining columns, which are this one, this one, this one, and this one. Whoops. I can't possibly put more than 2 2s in the shapes. I'm only allowed 2 2s in shapes in the puzzle. So I have to put 2 2s into the green cells, and that's fine because I can. There are 2 rows, so because that's the green cells are the only place to hide the 2s that aren't in shapes in those columns. Now, that logic must be the same for 3s. It must be, because there are 6 columns and I've only got 1 3 in the grid. So it's only this one that's being taken out effectively. What we're left with here is 5 columns, isn't it? Into which I can hide 2 3s in green and only 2 3s. I can't put 3 3s in green. So the remaining 3 3s in these columns are the circled and squared 3s. Now, but that must work because I've got no 4s in the 6 columns. I've got no given 4s in these 6 columns. And I can only put 2 4s in green. Therefore, the remaining 4 4s are in shaped cells. But more importantly, there must be 4s in both rows of green. Because if there wasn't, if you didn't put a 4 in a row of green, let's say we didn't put a 4 in one of those cells, then I can only put in those 6 columns, I can put 1 4 in green, and therefore I will have to put 5 4s, the remaining 5 4s, in shapes. And what all that means is that these squares, we've proved there's a 2 in, we've proved there's a 2 in both rows, both green rows, we've proved there's a 3 in both green rows, and we've now proved there's a 4 in both green rows. So this is a 2 3 4 triple. And these 3 squares this is okay, all right, this is absolute genius from IcyFruit, because now we are in position where we can run that argument again with 5. And the reason we can now run it with 5, which we never could, is because they're in those 6 columns, there are definitely 6 5s. But now I've only got 1 line of green I can put a 5 into, and that's row 8. So the remaining 5 5s are in the circles and squares, that's all of them. To put it another way, in those columns, I can only put 5 5s in circles and squares in those 6 columns, so there is 1 left over, and that's going to have to go in green, and now it has to go in row 8, along with the 2 3 and 4 that we know live in the greens in row 8. So this is a 2 3 4 5 quintuple. Oh, now, okay, now that's 5 or 6. That's 5 or 6. These ones are 6, 7 or 8, I'm going to claim. Right, so now 8 in this row is placed. That can't be 8 because this would be a 10. That can't be 8 by Sudoku. So I get another 8 in the grid. I get another 8 in the grid. I get the possibility of another 8 in the grid. If that's an 8, that's a 7. That's a 7. That would put 9 in the corner if that's a 7. Okay. And for our next trick, we will say, I don't know. 8 is no longer in those circles. This is getting ridiculous. This is getting ridiculous. I mean, right. We worked out earlier these two cells added up to at least 14. That's still the case. They add up to at least 14. Well, how could they not involve a 9 is a question I want to ask. If they don't involve a 9, the only way to get those to add up to 14 is like this, double 7. And that's not going to work. Because now we've got to put a 7 in column 5. And wherever we put it, it's on an arrow that adds up to 7. And that would imply one of those digits is a 0. And that doesn't work. And that means this is a 9. It's the only one that can be a 9. So this is a 9. That's a 9, apparently. Yes, because we worked out that couldn't be before. Now, oh, nearly. One of 2 positions for 9s there. One of 2 positions for 9s in this box. Remember, we can't put 9. Well, we can't put 9 in the column with another 9, but we also can't put it in an unshaped cell. So, I don't know. The pattern of 9s we've got left doesn't look propitious to me. I can't see how to unwind that immediately. But I have seen that this cell is a bit under pressure now, because this one adds up to 9 with this one. So this is 7, 6 or 5. Well, that's not 3. I've got a 3 up here. So this is now not 6. And actually that isn't 6 now, for quite an interesting reason. If that was 6, how would we make this arrow work? It would have to be a 2-4 pair, because it couldn't be a 1-5 pair. And if that's 2-4, that cell's broken. So that digit's not 6. This is odd. I don't know whether it's the same as this one. If it was the same, oh no, it could be in one of 2 positions. So this is 5 or 7. So the maximum value of this is 5. Do we have to have... Do you have to have a 3 on this? What are we adding up to? We're adding up to 14 or 16. 14 we know. These would be 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be a 5. This would be a 2-3 pair. This would be a 4-5 pair. So we'd know everything if that's 5. If it's 7, then what? If it's 7, well, this is 3, 4, 5. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see how to do it. It's so annoying. I do think we're getting a bit closer, though. Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me truly, I implore. I don't know. Okay, where are... No, that can be 2 if that's 3, can't it? If that's 5... If that's 7, it's true that is 3, 4, 5. But if that's 5, this could be a 2, 3 pair. One of those digits is a 3. That seems to be true. Oh, I remember something. Do you remember? Oh gosh, it's just Sudoku. I was going to say, look at my lovely pencil mark 2s here. They're going to take 2s out of those, but actually I could have done that very much more straightforwardly. So if this is a 2, oh look, yeah, this corner digit is at least 8 now, because we're adding 6 or 7 to at least a 2. Now, I don't know what to do again. Oh no, come on. I think it would be a total dereliction of duty if I get stuck here, because some of the logic to this point has been breathtaking. If that's a 5, that's a 6, and that's a 7. I mean, that would be a 2. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, there's a simple deduction. If this is 5, this is 7, so this is 2 to make the 9 arrow work. But if this is 5, that needs to be a 2 as well. So this is 2, 3, or 4. Which... Well, and that kind of... No, that really can't be 5. Oh, okay, so this is a 2, 3, 4 triple. So there is 3 on this diagonal. So hang on. If this was 3, 4, this would be 2. This would be 7. This would be 6. This would be 7. This would be 2. Ugh. Two would be in one of those two positions. And what did that flow from? I can't even remember now. I think that was if this was 7. If this is 5, this is 2, 3. This is 4, this is 5. 5 would be in one of those two cells. Ah, where are 2 and 3 in this column, look? That's a good question. They're not there or there. They don't seem to be able to be in those cells, so they're in those two cells. So these cells are a 2, 3 pair. Let's restore that 3 corner mark. Now, oh no, really? Ah, okay, hang on. Right, so the 4 in this box is now in one of those two squares, so that is not a 4. So that's 2 or 3. And okay, so those two digits are the same. That is also true, isn't it? Let's give that a colour. What colour should we make that? Oh, blue. I can't really see it though. Orange? Orange, I can see the orange. Okay, so those are the same, and they go in over here. And that digit is one of those two digits. But if this was a 5, those two digits would be the same. And that would be 3 then. So that would be the pattern. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I'm meant to be doing Sudoku now. I don't even know, actually. It could be more stuff to do with the nonsenses, the circles. That digit is not an enormous digit, is it? That's not 4 or 5 now, because we're only adding up. I mean, if that's 4, this is adding up to at least 10. So there's a 2-3 pair in this column. Those two digits are the same. So these are the same, and those are the same. That's okay. Let's give that a colour as well. So that red digit is going down there. No, actually it could go here. I was going to say it couldn't go there because it would be too small, but it actually could. Four in this column, is in one of those two squares. Can that be a 4? That would be a 5. I don't feel we know anything about 5s, really. I suppose we have got a couple of pencil marks to do with 5s. I don't know. I don't even really know where to look. I mean, that digit's getting duplicated down there, but I know so little about that. These digits are consecutive because they differ in value by 1. The arrows are seriously, I feel, and I might be wrong, and the comments, if I do get through the puzzle, will no doubt enlighten me, but I feel like the arrows have almost been put into the puzzle at the very end. So IcyFruit has somehow divined some extraordinary stuff from the circles and the squares, and then just to disambiguate at the end, a few arrows have been added to the party. If that's 8, that's 7. That's 5. That's 5. That feels wrong. That feels wrong. Two. I think that is wrong. But that's very odd. Or I might be wrong. I'm not actually sure now that I think it is wrong. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. No, this is really difficult. That would be 3, but it's not. No, it is wrong. It's definitely wrong. The arrow doesn't work. Yeah, it's definitely wrong. If this is 7... Well, so sorry. This started from me considering whether this could be 8. I've got this 8 pencil mark thing here. If this is 8, this is 7. Okay, now here's why I don't think that can be true. If this is 7, this is 5, okay? Which means this is a 2-3 pair. But the problem I've got with that is that obviously it's not obvious at all, but if this is 5, this becomes a 2-3 pair, and this digit here, which is the red digit, becomes a 3 because it's in a column with a 2. So this becomes a 3 because this is a 2-3 pair if this is 7. Now, if this is a red digit, it's there on this arrow. So this is a 3, which means this is a 6. But I started this by saying that was a 7, which means this is a 6. So I've got 2 6s in this row. Or to put it a different way, if that's 7, that should have been a 7, that should have been a 2. So this should have been a 2. But there's nowhere for 2 now in this box, because the 2 can't go here. In fact, that would be a sensible thing to actually note, wouldn't it? Seven. Yeah, sorry. I know it doesn't work. I'm just trying to see it to see whether there's a. No, I mean I think the point is making that 7 makes that 5, makes that red. That arrow doesn't add up. So this is not 7. So this is not 8. So we get another digit in the puzzle. That's an 8. We get another digit that does absolutely diddly. How does that do so little? I don't know. It's just bizarre. Okay. That is the most hard-won digit of absolutely no value. Right. So, what does that allow us to do? I don't know again. I feel like I've really hit a hiatus. We were doing okay, weren't we? And now I feel like I don't really know where to look, frankly. Which is a bit pathetic. But I genuinely am not sure what I'm meant to do. Do I have to sort of limit this? Is that the point? Okay, right. Where does that digit go? Let's give this its own colour. Where does that digit go in this box? That's a reasonable question. It's not in its own row. It can't be on its own arrow, or the other digit on the arrow would be a 0. Ah. Okay, it's not 8. It's not 9, because that would make that an 8. And it's not 3, so it does go there. So can it be 2 or 8? No, it's definitely not 2 or 8, so it's that digit. So those are all the same. Right, and in this row, that digit is 4, 5, 6, or 7. Yeah, this is good. It's not 4. It's not 4, is it? Because if this was 4, this would be a 3, and it can't be. So this digit it might be better than this as well. It's 5, 6, or 7. Now, if this is okay, which means this digit is 4, 5, or 6. Now, can we use that to our advantage? Yes, yes we can. Where is 9 in box thingy, box 3? I don't know the answer to this, but it is in one of those two cells, I think. So 9 is not there anymore. 9's here. And frankly, we will take that as a win. We're left with a sort of an X-wing on 9s, aren't we? In the sense 9 is in those cells. And I suspect it's going to be this arrow that disambiguates that. Oh, nearly. Actually really very nearly. 3 in this box seems to be up there with 2 and 3. And sorry, 2 and 9. So that is 2, 3 and 9 by Sudoku. And this is, oh no, I've just been proved wrong instantly. Right, I was going to say that I thought, I did say that I thought this arrow was going to disambiguate the 9s. I got a 2, 3, 9 pair, there's a 2, 3 pair in the column, so that's the 9, and that disambiguates it. So we get a 9 in the corner, so these digits... Hang on, let me just finish off my pencil mark. I've got 2, 3 pair here, 2, 3 pair here, 9 here. So if that's 2, that's 2. That's 2, that's 7. Oh, that feels a bit icy fruity, doesn't it? So what I'm noticing there is that if this is 2, these 9 arrows have exactly the same composition. Though both of those cells are 7. Now why doesn't that work? I bet there's a reason that doesn't work. It will put a 7 here by Sudoku. 7 in one of those. Oh, I bet there's a reason that doesn't work. 2 there makes that a 2, places 2 here, makes this 7, makes that 7, because they both add up to 9. And the reason that's a problem is completely and utterly impossible to see. Okay, let's try it the other way. If that's 3, that's 3, that's 2, that's 4, so that's 3. So this would be a 5. And this would be a 5. So I get 5, 5, 5 in one of these. If that's 5, those two are not 5. Oh, hang on, if that's 5, neither of those is 5. Is that somehow doing something? So that this would be 4 or 6. So it couldn't be 4 anymore. So if that's 5, that's 6, that's 7. That would have to be a 4 because it would see 5, 6 and 7. So if that's 5, that's 7. Okay, so 7 in this box is in one of those two cells. Oh, I still don't think this is going to do anything. It's really interesting. But look, so what I'm noticing is if this is 5, because this is then even, this must be odd because it differs by 1, but it can't be 5 anymore, so it's got to be 7. So if this is 5, this is 7, which places 7 here. And otherwise this is 7, so though one of those is 7, so this digit is 4, 5 or 6 by Sudoku. because it sees 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 and 9. Oh, Bobbins McBobbins face. I know there's something going on here. I just can't work it out. 3 is, oh, one of those two cells. Can that be a 3? Probably not. Don't know. If that's 3. If that's 3, it does all sorts of things to the world. No, I'm not having that. That is not a 3. Although that was complicated what I did there. But that is not a 3. And the reason that's not a 3 is if you do put 3 there, I think that's a 3 as well. Let me try and explain how I've seen that. So what I'm thinking about is those two being 3s together. Now if these two are both 3s, hopefully you can see that orange is now 2, which means this is a 2. Now remember earlier we said one of these is a 2, so if that's a 2, that's a 2, and that means this is a 2. But now we know that that would be a 3 in the corner, and red would be a 3, so that would be a 3. And I get 2 3s in a row, and that won't work, so that's not 3, which means this is 3. And that's going to do an awful lot for me any moment now. Or not, as unfortunately the case might be. Oh dear. Can I use that logic to disprove a 3 there as well? That should be the same, shouldn't it? Because what we're saying is if that's 3, we actually know that would be 3, that would be 3, and that would be 3. So that's not so neither of those is a 3. So 3 is in one of these two cells in this box. That's got to do something. That can't be a 3. But, oh no. I don't believe it. I thought I'd seen something. I don't think it works though. So 3 is in this box. It can't be here because there's a 2, 3 pair in the column. So it's either here or in those two. I think all of those work. No. Are you kidding me? Okay. I don't know what to do with that. Oh dear. So, anyone got any ideas as to what to look at next? I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've got any good ideas. Okay, we could pencil mark this arrow, couldn't we? Actually we could. 4, 5 or 6. It can't be 7. And in this box already, it can't be 1, 2, 3, 8 or 9. So it is 4, 5 or 6. Oh no, I thought that might do something. Okay, and that digit's going to end up down there. Oh, nearly. Where's 8 in this box? One of 2 places, I think. So where's 8 at one of 2 places? Come on. I don't believe it. Oh dear. Okay, I don't know what to do. Let's try. Where should we go now? This arrow? I think this arrow is not. I mean, I just don't think it's very restricted. It's really not, is it? The only thing I can see is this can't be 8. Ah. Boom. Boo. Oh no. No, this is really good. Wow. Okay. Look at this column. Ah, this, I mean, that's evil. It's evil. Is this intended? I don't know. I don't know whether this is intended, but where are 2 and 8 in this column? I've got 2, 8 here, so they're not in this top cell. These two can be 2 and 8, and I think are 2 and 8. But that can't be 2 or 8. It can't be 2 because these would be double 1. It can't be 8 because of the 7 here. So these are 2 and 8 in this column, and that is massive because this can't be 3 now. And if that can't be 3, this is 3. But now this can't be 3 by Sudoku. So that is 3 on the arrow, and that's 2, and that's 8, and that's 2, and that's 8. Come on. That has got to do something. Oh, I get 8 there by Sudoku, so I get 8 there. Okay, how many 8s have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got all the 8s. How many 9s have I got? All the 9s. And I got some 2s then as well. I still haven't done very well with 2s. This can't be a 3 anymore. So that's 4 or 5. This column looks like we've got 4, 5 and 6 to place. And the 4 has to be in those cells, look, because this can only be 5 or 6. So the 4, we know there's a 4 in there. We do, because that's a 2, 3, 4 triple. So we know there's a 4 in one of those two. I don't know enough about 4s for that to be of any use at all. So right, so it's going to be something to do with, actually I'm not sure I know. 7 in this box is in one of 2 places. I feel what I've sort of let myself go down on here is maybe I could have done more with the circle digits and the square digits. I've got a bit obsessed with Sudoku all of a sudden, which is most unlike me. And I wonder whether I could have, if I'd have kept thinking about circles and squares, maybe I could have done this slightly differently. But I mean, whatever. It's another absolutely stunning puzzle, isn't it? From this constructor. Every single one of IcyFruit's puzzles, you just know you are going to be faced A with a battle and B with a total genius. One, two, three. So the corner digit is 4, 5 or 6. Now I feel like I've filled in a lot of cells with 4, 5 or 6. That is true, isn't it? Yeah, because I've got the 7 over here, so I think that is true. But that one I think is worse. I think that one can be everything. That can't be 4. because the 4 in this column, wherever it goes, if it goes there, it gets transposed there, so it still sees that one. So that's 5 or 6. It looks like that must do something, doesn't it? One of those is 7. I don't know if that does anything. I sort of want it to, so I'm going... Oh, hang on. Oh, no, it doesn't quite. Oh, no, I've got to tell you that. Right, that's not a 5. For the most beautiful reason. If that's a 5, what's that? 7. What's that? 6. So that would be 5, 6, 7. All looking at that square. And that can't be anything then. So that's not 5. Now, I noticed that was going to give me the parity on this. Because if that's not 5, this is definitely even. This is definitely odd. And I could see it was giving me a 5-7 pair here. But I actually don't think it's doing anything. It's... Oh no, it is doing something. That is a 4-6 pair now in this column. And that's giving me that digit. That's massive. That's massive. That is absolutely massive because that's giving me that digit. So that's a 4, that's a 3, that's a 2, and that's a 5. Oh, that's got to be 7. That's the black digit. So that's a 7, that's a 7, that's a 6, that's a 4. So 6, 7. This is a 5 in the corner with a 4 next to it. That's a 6. That's a 6. Oh, this is look at this. Look at this. But also, that makes this a 6. So that's a 3. Now red's 3. So orange is 2. 3, 6. This is 2. Remember, one of those has been 2 forever. That's 2. Boom. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight. Losing its religion. I feel like I'm losing my religion here. This is 4, 5, 6. That's not 6. That's not 6. That's 6. Okay, what do we need in this box? We need 6, and so we need a 6. So that's presumably a 7. Now, what do we need in this column? 4 and 5, I think, into those cells. So these are 2 and 6. We can do that. That one is actually in particular is a 6. That seems to have to be a 5. So that's a 4, 4, 5. What do we get in this corner? 7 apparently. What do we get in that square? 5 apparently. That does the 5 and the 4. That seems to give me a 4 here, which gives me a 4 here. That seems to want to be a 5. This box hasn't got a 7 in, so that might be a 7. Oh, we have finished it. Maybe. Let's just take a quick pause, though, to investigate whether we think the Sudoku looks right. I'm not counting all of the digits to check that they're in the right places. I think we will rely on our logic. How long is that? 2 hours. 2 hours. Let's see. Oh. It's been out for a month. I didn't realise that. I thought it was relatively new, actually. I'm sorry. I would have done it. I've done it much sooner. Well, if I could have found the time. IcyFruit's puzzles are completely and utterly brilliant, and that is another example. The logic's crazy. It's crazy. And I loved the way that I sort of had to think about, there was sort of a bit of maths, a bit of, the finding all those weird swordfishes at the start. And then I had the idea to try and do it down there. And that was really interesting, but in a slightly different way, because you were looking at the gaps rather than the lattice, if you see what I mean. It's an incredible puzzle. It's an incredible puzzle. let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And if you are still here and you're not subscribed, please think about it. We would really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be bringing you more Sudoku later on tonight. Bye for now.